There is something undeniably intriguing about the way attraction defies the rules we try to write for it. You see, love and desire are not mathematic equations, they are human stories filled with paradox, mystery, and instinct. When a younger woman finds herself drawn to an older man, it is rarely about the number of candles on a birthday cake. It is about the quiet confidence he carries, the way he listens instead of reacts, the calm that replaces chaos. In a world that often celebrates speed, noise, and superficiality, an older man offers a rare stillness. He doesn't need to prove himself, he already knows who he is. The magnetic pull of maturity lies not in the surface traits of an older man but in the essence of his emotional intelligence, his ability to remain centered amid chaos, and the aura of calm confidence that he naturally exudes. Younger women often find themselves drawn to this energy because it contrasts so starkly with the uncertainty and restlessness that can characterize their own generation. Maturity, in its truest form, is not about age but awareness, the quiet understanding that life unfolds in shades of gray rather than black and white. An older man often carries that awareness like a second skin, cultivated through experiences that have taught him patience, empathy, and perspective. He doesn't rush to impress, he doesn't seek validation in every interaction. Instead, his presence feels grounded, and that grounding can be magnetic to someone still navigating the turbulence of self-discovery. In his demeanor, there is a rhythm of assurance, a tone that says, "I know who I am, and I don't need to prove it." That stability becomes an anchor for a younger woman who may still be exploring her own identity and direction. Emotional maturity allows him to meet her with steadiness instead of volatility, to respond rather than react. In relationships, this distinction can be transformative. Where immaturity might fuel conflict through insecurity or ego, maturity diffuses it through understanding. He knows the value of silence, the art of listening, and the power of restraint. These subtle qualities create an emotional environment where trust and openness can flourish without pressure or pretense. Younger women, often surrounded by peers still figuring out emotional nuance, can find this contrast deeply attractive. It's not that she seeks a father figure or someone to lead her, rather, she craves the emotional steadiness that allows her to feel seen, heard, and respected without manipulation or neediness. The older man's maturity becomes a mirror, reflecting back her own potential for depth, self-awareness, and emotional growth. His confidence, born not of arrogance but of self-knowledge, radiates a kind of peace that makes her feel safe to be vulnerable, to unfold, to be her truest self. Moreover, the magnetic pull of maturity extends beyond emotional control. It includes wisdom born from having lived through mistakes, heartbreaks, and triumphs. Such a man has likely learned that connection is not sustained through grand gestures but through consistency, honesty, and presence. His calm energy communicates that he can hold space for another person's complexities without fear or impatience. To a younger woman still navigating the fast, performative dynamics of modern relationships, that level of depth feels rare, grounding, and intoxicating. It is not merely attraction, it is the quiet recognition of emotional safety, something that only true maturity can offer. The contrast between youthful chaos and the grounded presence of an experienced man forms one of the most compelling reasons younger women find themselves drawn toward older men. Youth, while vibrant and full of possibilities, often carries with it a kind of beautiful chaos, ambition mixed with uncertainty, passion tangled with insecurity, and desire often untempered by patience. In this storm of emotions, an older man stands as a steady center. His groundedness is not an accident but the product of experience, years spent learning what truly matters and what does not, understanding how to balance passion with composure, and recognizing that true strength often resides in calm rather than noise. For a younger woman navigating the instability of early adulthood, that grounded presence can feel like a sanctuary. The older man does not chase validation because he has already wrestled with the need to prove himself and outgrown it. He doesn't mistake intensity for intimacy or confusion for excitement. While younger men may still be learning to manage their emotions or struggling to understand the subtleties of partnership, the older man has already developed the capacity to remain emotionally consistent. This steadiness doesn't mean he lacks passion, it means he has learned how to direct it, to express it without chaos. That kind of balance can be deeply attractive to a younger woman who feels exhausted by the volatility of relationships that swing between extremes. His presence feels like a pause in a world that constantly demands movement. Younger women often crave a sense of emotional security, not as dependence but as grounding. When they encounter a man who is self-assured, who listens without the impulse to dominate, and who acts without the need to perform, it creates a sense of peace that is rare. The older man's groundedness becomes a form of emotional leadership, not control, but guidance born of knowing. His calmness allows her to feel both free and safe, both curious and protected. In that balance, chaos finds order, and intensity finds focus. There is also an undeniable allure in how he moves through life with intentionality. Every action seems measured, every word chosen with care. He doesn't rush to fill silence, he understands that quiet moments carry their own intimacy. His steadiness acts like gravity, it draws her in, not through demand, but through presence. Where younger men may embody the thrill of uncertainty, older men embody the beauty of stability. For a younger woman seeking not just excitement but depth, not just spark but substance, that grounded presence is both magnetic and healing. It offers her a glimpse of what love can feel like when it grows from calm rather than chaos. The security of being seen and understood rather than judged or controlled is one of the deepest emotional reasons younger women are drawn to older men. In a world where so many interactions are filtered through performance and pretense, being truly seen feels like a rare and precious experience. An older man often possesses the emotional maturity to see beyond appearances and into the essence of a person. He doesn't look at a younger woman through the lens of competition, insecurity, or social expectation. Instead, he observes with curiosity and respect. His life experience has taught him that genuine connection isn't about molding someone into an ideal, it's about understanding who they truly are. This creates an emotional safety that allows a woman to express herself without fear of judgment, to reveal her complexity without needing to defend it. When a younger woman encounters this kind of acceptance, it stands in stark contrast to the conditional attention she may have experienced from men her own age. Younger relationships can sometimes be driven by ego, with both partners seeking validation or control. But the older man, having outgrown those insecurities, approaches connection differently. He values authenticity over performance. His calm and patience invite openness. He doesn't rush to correct or criticize, he seeks to understand. That sense of being understood rather than evaluated allows her to relax into emotional intimacy, to let down her guard, and to be real. The security he offers is not about dominance or protection in a physical sense, it's an emotional sanctuary. A woman feels safe with someone who listens not to reply but to comprehend. The older man has likely learned through experience that love cannot flourish where one person feels unseen or silenced. His ability to hold space for another person's emotions, without trying to fix or control them, becomes profoundly attractive. It's not about age alone, it's about emotional awareness that time and self-reflection tend to nurture. Being seen also means being valued for more than appearance or youth. Older men often appreciate depth, conversation, and the subtleties of emotional connection. They notice the small things, the tone in her voice, the shift in her energy, the unspoken meaning behind her words. This attentiveness makes her feel significant, not because of what she represents, but because of who she is. In that recognition, she experiences a form of love that feels steady and unconditional. It's not a performance to impress, it's a meeting of understanding souls. That emotional visibility becomes one of the most powerful forms of attraction, a reminder that to be truly seen is to be truly safe. The allure of wisdom, depth, and storytelling that comes from a life fully lived is something that captivates younger women in ways that go far beyond physical attraction. There is an undeniable magnetism in a man who has seen the world through many lenses, who carries stories that weave together lessons, emotions, and moments that shaped him. His words carry weight not because they are rehearsed, but because they are rooted in experience. Each story he tells, whether from triumph or heartbreak, becomes a window into a mind that has learned to interpret life rather than merely react to it. For a younger woman, this depth offers an entry into a world of reflection and meaning that feels both grounding and inspiring. It's not just the stories themselves but the way he tells them, the pauses, the insight, the emotional intelligence behind his perspective that creates an aura of intrigue and connection. Wisdom is often born from pain, And an older man's willingness to speak from vulnerability rather than ego makes that wisdom even more compelling. He doesn't pretend to have all the answers, but he has learned what questions matter. That humility, paired with understanding, gives his presence a calm intensity. When he speaks, it feels less like instruction and more like an invitation to think, to feel, to explore. Younger women, often surrounded by peers still defining their identities and ambitions, find this presence deeply attractive. It's not about authority or superiority, it's about the emotional richness of someone who has lived through different chapters and emerged with insight instead of bitterness. Depth also reveals itself in how he perceives the world. He doesn't chase trends or seek approval, his values and passions have been shaped by experience. He finds beauty in nuance, in conversation, in the quiet details others overlook. For a younger woman, that kind of attentiveness is intoxicating. His curiosity about life hasn't faded with age, it has matured, evolved, deepened. That combination of stillness and curiosity draws her in, creating a dynamic that feels intellectually stimulating and emotionally safe. Storytelling, for him, becomes a bridge, not a way to impress but to connect. Through his experiences, he reveals not only his past but his perspective on love, trust, ambition, and meaning. Each narrative becomes a small lesson in living with awareness. The younger woman feels she's not only being entertained but understood, not only listened to but inspired. In a time where so much feels fleeting and shallow, the depth of a man who carries stories like wisdom stones feels timeless. It's that depth, the lived knowledge, the emotional resonance, the human truth that transforms ordinary attraction into something profoundly magnetic. The subconscious search for balance, where youthful energy meets seasoned confidence, lies at the heart of why younger women are often drawn to older men. Attraction, at its deepest level, is rarely about logic or calculation. It is an emotional resonance that forms between two energies seeking equilibrium. A younger woman, full of vitality, curiosity, and ambition, often brings an intensity that is both exhilarating and chaotic. An older man, with his composed demeanor and self-assured presence, meets that intensity not with resistance but with grounding. The dynamic between them creates a natural harmony. Her vibrancy reawakens his sense of aliveness, while his steadiness offers her a sense of direction and calm. This unspoken balance becomes a dance of contrasts, each complementing what the other lacks, creating a connection that feels both stabilizing and electric. In the presence of an older man, a younger woman senses a kind of emotional gravity. His life experience has taught him to move with deliberation rather than haste, to respond with patience rather than impulsivity. This composure gives her space to express her spontaneity without feeling overwhelmed or dismissed. At the same time, her energy brings lightness into his world, reminding him of passion, curiosity, and wonder that might have softened over the years. Together, their energies intertwine, a meeting point between wisdom and exploration, stillness and movement, reflection and desire. It's not about dependency but reciprocity, an unspoken exchange where both find something essential they didn't even know they were missing. The older man's confidence is not loud or boastful, it's quiet, rooted in knowing himself deeply. He doesn't compete with her energy, he absorbs it, allowing it to coexist with his own rhythm. That balance feels freeing rather than constraining. For the younger woman, this dynamic becomes a mirror reflecting her own potential for growth, depth, and emotional maturity. She learns to appreciate calm as much as excitement, stillness as much as spark. The relationship becomes less about filling a void and more about expanding each other's emotional range. Attraction often arises where balance is found between opposites. The feminine energy of youth seeks grounding, while the masculine energy of experience seeks renewal. When these forces meet authentically, something rare happens, both evolve. The younger woman discovers stability without stagnation, while the older man rediscovers vitality without losing his center. Their connection, therefore, becomes more than romantic, it becomes alchemical. It's a reminder that the most meaningful bonds in life are not formed out of sameness, but from the meeting of differences that complete rather than compete. In that balance, both find harmony, growth, and a deeper sense of emotional fulfillment that transcends age or expectation.